live on Grant. We live on YouTube.
Live on YouTube and Facebook.
Welcome, everybody. Happy Saturday.
Morning.
Here with Grant. Grant, how's it going?
Going well, thank you.
And with Chief Cerruto. Thank you, Chief, for joining us here today.
Glad to be here, Mary. Good morning,
very
everyone.
Much. Thank you. First, I'd like to go, as we always do, is thank our first responders, our medical staff, our essential employees, our town employees, our businesses that are now open, everyone's concerted efforts during this pandemic. And I can't thank everyone enough for all their work and efforts in that. So it's very important. As we start every meeting that we have is the numbers. So the numbers that we have so far, and thank you, Mike Crespin, our health director, is the state of Connecticut. And these are confirmed COVID-19 cases. This does not mean that these are the cases that are happening currently. These are since the inception. In the state of Connecticut, there's 40,941. In Litchfield County, there's 1,336. And there are 4 hospitalizations in the total county itself. New Milford has 273. And there's been no change for the last 3 days. So that's all great news so far. I can't thank the public enough again for their continued efforts in wearing masks and practicing their social distancing, all in efforts to really bring these numbers down, as we've all been trying to do for many months now. So thank you for everybody for that. A quick update as well is phase 2. Governor Lamont was going to have as the June 20th date. He has now moved that up 3 days to June 17th, which is good news. And some of the things, we're going to be getting more guidance on these as I move along during the weekend, which we'll be following up with you via our social media and press releases on some of these. Movie theaters are going to be allowed to be reopened. Indoor dining, it'll be a certain capacity that will be allowed for indoor, so we're going to continue with our outdoor dining as well. Also, bowling alleys will be available, youth sports, lots of things are going to be going on, which is going to be amazing. So I'm very excited about that. We'll be listing more of that as we move forward. So that's very exciting news. For what we're happening as of today, right now, we have the New Milford Farmers Market that's going on right out here on the green. And it's great to see those farms and small businesses there, and our residents patronizing the farmers market. It's a great place to get some delicious and nutritious foods and other items. So thank you for those people that have been coming and patronizing. And speaking of that as well, thank you to everyone that are going to our shops that now are open. And also our food stores, as we know, they're essential, and our restaurants. And those that have been giving the outdoor treatment. I know, Chief, you went up to Gaylordsville Diner, I believe, a little while ago.
Yes, had an excellent lunch, very good food, and we were very happy to visit and patronize them. We notice a lot of businesses in town are full of support, and it's important that we continue to support local.
Absolutely. Well, that's awesome. Thank you, Chief. And, kind of staying on that same segue, as we continue to move forward, other businesses will be opening, as you'll be seeing on the 17th. So it's great that we patronize them as well, because they've been really out of business for many, many days now. So it's very important that as a community, we all, as we have been, continuing to help our fellow citizens. As we know, most of our small business owners are New Milford residents. So we'd like to thank everyone for their continued patronage. Also, like to thank everyone that has been donating to our nonprofits. They've been a really important component of helping those in need here in New Milford. Also for those that have helped us in our food bank here in New Milford. Ivana Butera Social Services and her team has done a stellar job. Plus all the faith-based organizations that also do the food service, whether it be from the Faith Church, the United Methodist Church, St. John's Church. Many of the faith-based groups donate their time, their talent, their treasure, and bring food to those in need. So we thank you so much for helping that. Also, thank you to Carmela's Cupboard, who has done an outstanding job as well. I believe they were delivering over 400 meals now on Fridays. And then also the New Milford School System, who continues to provide the free lunches, which I believe are Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And I believe, Chief, they're up to 2,200 combined lunches a week.
It's amazing. Excellent work.
So we can't thank everybody as a community, everyone continuing to pull together to really help us in this fight against the pandemic. Kind of a little bit more of an update as far as town-wide news. This Monday, the town council voted to approve the budget. And the budget passed as was recommended by the Board of Finance. And for those who didn't know, that is a small decrease in taxes for the residents. And I'd like to thank all of the parties involved from the inception of the budget. We've talked about this before. The process, again, for those that may not know, is that there's two distinct budgets. There's the town side, and then there's the Board of Education side. We'll start with the Board of Education side first. The superintendent works with the Board of Education. They make their recommendations. They pass that on to the mayor's office. I meet with all our department heads, and the chief knows. We come up with our budget, and then both of those budgets goes to the town council. The town council then does their deliberations in tandem with the Board of Finance. And then the town council, in a normal course of action, then makes their recommendation. It goes to the Board of Finance, which all of that happened this year. What normally would happen after that is it goes to referendum and the public chooses. Unfortunately, Governor Lamont has executive order, which basically eliminated our ability to hold a referendum. We had town attorney Randy DeBella here talking about that. It's unfortunate, as I'm a firm believer, as we all are, that we believe that our public should be entitled to the vote. Unfortunately, as executive order, he couldn't. So it actually went back to the town council. Town council deliberated, and hence we have our budget as we're moving forward. So I'd like to thank everyone that is involved in that process as we move forward. I can't thank them enough for that. Also, a couple of other items. I've been getting a lot of calls and emails concerning Lendeming Park. I met with our Park and Rec Director, Dan Calhoun. The chief has been involved as well, as we're looking for opportunities to open Lendeming. So we're looking at those opportunities, and the great news is that because of our investment in the last few years, where we're able to have the security guards, the gates that are put in, we actually have an ability to be really looking at how we can make this happen. We're speaking with our health director, Mike Crespin, as well, and I'll have more information on that and timelines by the middle of this coming week. So we're going to have some exciting news, but I want to let the residents know that we have been working on that. Also, the chief and I last Sunday, we went up in the police helicopter, and we went and took a look at the topography of our town, which is absolutely gorgeous. And the main effort of that is on our river system. Last year, we had numerous people going into our river system in a lot of different ways, and a lot of ways that were very unsafe.
Yes.
And we feel, especially this year with COVID-19 and the state parks that are going to remain closed inland, that we feel there's going to be a lot of people looking for bodies of water to go and refresh themselves with. The Housatonic River, as we all know, those that are here that are residents, we know that there are undercurrents in all sorts of parts of the river, and we just want to make sure that it's safe. We don't want people to go there and have an unfortunate incident, especially those that have never really had experience of swimming in a river. So I know Chief gave you like a couple words if you want about flying up in the helicopter. What kind of your thoughts were?
Obviously, it was great to get up there with the mayor and with the fire chief from Water Witch. It was an important exercise because we were able to see from a different view points of entry, areas where we anticipate problems, and how we can access and limit access to those areas. each and every year, we do seem to have problems in the river system, also in our lakes. There's a lot of water in New Milford, and we're very concerned about the safety of our residents and those who come to visit. So we thought it was an important proactive step to take a look from an operational standpoint and get a good view from above.
Excellent. Thank you, Chief. And very important, as we talked about, logistically, how we're going to manage that to make sure that the people are going to remain safe. The worst thing we want to have happen is someone that's inexperienced have a major incident that could be life-threatening. So we'll have more information on that as how we continue with our plans and processes, especially when it comes to the river. I do see a couple of things that have popped up on our Facebook page here. The first is from Rubia. She says hello. So hello
How
to
are
you,
you?
Rubia.
Good morning.
And Ed Pagan had asked, how many active cases are currently in New Milford? And Ed, that's a great question. I've been asked this several times. And unfortunately, the state of Connecticut, due to manpower, really doesn't follow through all the way to the end of the case. They take a look at the case. They want to see how many people they contacted. But then after that, just due to manpower issues, they don't go all the way till the end. So as of right now, because I've asked for it many times, how many people actually do have it currently? I know the majority of the people that have contracted the virus, it lasts anywhere from, according to medical experts, 10 to 14 days. If you're basic to do the basic math logistically, we'd be looking at probably 15 or 20 people currently that have that. Don't hold me to that number because we don't know, but unfortunately that's the case. And thank you, Ed. Let's see. What else do we have here? And then from Andrea, why is Lamont making a 150-person rule gathering for graduates, which is too low in July, versus the thousands gathering now? Why is there a double standard for this COVID rule? So this is a great question, Chief. I was asked this several times yesterday. And the answer that I can give it as best as I can is two reasons. There's two distinct reasonings. First is, let's go with the graduations. Governor Lamont in his executive order, which, according to our town attorney, because I've asked, is law. Until the legislature comes and changes that, if they so choose, what he puts down is law. So that 150-person gathering rule is a law by executive order by Governor Lamont. Also, the schools are run by the state of Connecticut. The state of Connecticut runs the show from the top down. Then it comes into our local level, which is our Board of Education. They have put the limit on with 150-person rule. There's no way around that rule. I personally wish there was. I know a lot of parents do, but we have to abide by that rule. As for the people that are gathering this weekend, it's a constitutional right, which has not been declined by executive order. What I can ask those that are gathering is to please stay safe, wear your face masks, because it's very important, as we have a lot of seniors that are in our downtown area,
Yes.
and that we move forward in a peaceful process.
Yes.
It's constitutional freedom that we all have, and that is kind of the difference
Yes.
between the two things. Do I wish, as all our graduate parents do, that our kids could get up on the field? I'm a big proponent of the football field, getting up on, or I should say the multi-purpose field, getting on the field and getting their graduation. Absolutely. I think it's wonderful. I wish we could do that. And I wish Governor Lamont would extend and increase the attendance for these. I emailed the governor, asked if he could reconsider that. I've heard nothing back yet, but I believe that it was an issue.
Yes.
I have another one from an Anne Marie Sarbello. Hello, Anne Marie. Tried to reach out via Facebook, but was removed. I emailed you both, so I figured I would try here as well. Do you plan to sign this pledge? Mayor and other city council officials are uniquely positioned to introduce common sense limitations. So this, as Anne Marie is talking about, this is a pledge with President Obama's organization. and it continues to address police policies, police procedures. I know you and I briefly talked about that. So, Chief, I'll give you the floor for a moment about our policies and procedures.
Yes, Mayor,
So, Chief.
thank you. And it's an excellent question. And I do pledge to you and the entire community that we, and the mayor included, are going to review our policies. We're going to review them and we're going to look for these options. And we want to be able to respond appropriately. I'm very, very concerned, obviously, with what is going on, very aware of it, and very disturbed. I believe strongly in de-escalation. I want to ensure that our policies are highlighting that as best we can. Nevertheless, the mayor and I have been in discussions about reviewing our policies, and we do make that pledge to you.
Thank you, Chief. And so, Anne Marie, we'll talk about this more with updates. I appreciate you sending me that link so that we can review that
Yes.
and see more about how that dovetails in with the policies and procedures that you currently have. And some things, as you just said, we may be invoking within the policies and procedures.
Yes.
So thank you. And then Lisa has said, my concern about the BLM protest to take place on the green tomorrow with regard to damage and putting residents at risk for COVID infection. So we have talked to Chief, you've talked to the actual
Yes, I have.
leaders of this demonstration. So if
Yes.
you kind of opine.
I have had the opportunity to talk to the organizers, the leaders of this event tomorrow. And this is one of the things we touched on, and I'm very concerned about that aspect also. While they do have their First Amendment right, we also have to be very concerned about the COVID transmission. The organizers are also concerned with that, and we've talked about social distance. We talked about face masks. We have even talked about having masks available. The police department is going to bring excess face masks to distribute as a sign of good faith and a positive gesture, but also in the name of public safety. We're also going to have hand sanitizer available and such. And we're going to make a strong point again with the organizers prior to the event and during the event. It's definitely something that is very concerning to me. We want to have a safe event in many ways. We want it to be safe insofar as our citizens. We want it to be safe insofar as traffic safety. And we also want it to be safe insofar as health and well-being with the COVID.
Thank you, Chief. And we've been, the organizer told us this will be a very peaceful process.
Yes.
This is just the opportunity for those that feel that Mr. Floyd was murdered and the process, and they have their constitutional right to do that. And they've also given us assurances that this will be a peaceful protest. Also, I have something from Linda DeSaro. Hi, Linda. Can you do graduation shifts in alphabetical order? So that would be a question, Linda, for Principal Cerruto and for the Board of Ed. I do know that they've been working in tandem. I know, Chief, with you, with myself, with the Board of Ed, the PTO. I know they've been all trying to come up with an alternative graduation that still represents and signifies our respect for their graduation and their hard work and hard achievement for the last 4 years. I do know that 150, first, from what I'm understanding of the guidelines, is you couldn't even do these graduations before July 6th. So you'd have a timing issue with being after the 4th of July, I believe. I'm not too sure about that. That'd be something you'd want to check with Principal Cerruto. Also, on top of that, it's 150 maximum attendance. So it's not just 150 students on the field. It would be 150 maximum. So you would take a look at if you were going to use, say, an average of four people per graduate. So your times 5 times the number of students. It could be maybe 2 days worth of back-to-back events as far as a graduation. I know that's something that may be addressed, but that's totally up to the principal, the Board of Education. We support
Yes.
our kids no matter how they want to do it and show
Yes.
their appreciation for our graduates who rightfully deserved
Yes. They do.
a proper graduation for them, and we're trying to do the best we can during these circumstances.
Yes, I'm on the same page with you, Mayor. I support you and that thought process. I support our families and the graduates, and the New Milford Police Department obviously will do anything we can to help get this event off in a respectful manner that is acceptable to everyone.
And Andrea had said again, 2 days of graduates would be better than a parade. Andrea, my advice would be to get in contact with Principal Cerruto or Angie Chastain from the Board of Ed, their chairman, or Superintendent Parker, or Olga, who is with the New Milford Grad Party, or our PTO president, as they're all working so hard in trying to make this beneficial. I know, Chief, you've been to a few meetings. I have too,
Yes.
and just see how that group of people have really been putting in yeoman's hours to try and make this so beneficial for the kids.
Yes, there's a lot of thought going into it. A lot of people care about it. And as I said, we're on the same page. We want it to be a very respectful event for those who've worked so hard to get to this point.
Excellent. And Zentram had if I mispronounce your name, Zentaram, I apologize. Is there a system that can be set up to get automatic COVID updates regarding New Milford on our phones? Maybe a way to text to opt in. It's a great question. Actually, we're working on that now, and hopefully within the next short time, we'll be able to do something similar to that. So I thank you for that question, and we're definitely looking about how we can go about doing that. A question, Chief, from Ellen Power. It may make the community members more comfortable to understand police department's policy about body-worn cameras. Does the police department wear body cameras while on the job? Chief.
Excellent question. As a fairly new chief here, I've been here a year and a half. I've had a lot of time to evaluate our procedures. And this is one thing that I've evaluated and have considered very carefully. I've looked into the process. I've looked into the pros and cons, and I believe there are many pros to that type of a system. On the budget side, it is a very costly endeavor. We have approximately 50 officers, and it would cost about $50,000 to implement the program. And then, of course, there's annual costs that also are included. That's not to say that means we're not going to do it or that that's going to be an obstacle to stop us. It is nevertheless a consideration we have to make. We may be able to seek a grant in that area, but we do have cameras in our vehicles. They are in-car cameras, and they record motor vehicle stops, for example. Anytime the officer puts on their emergency lights, the cameras will record. So in many instances, we do have video. We have video in our building and video in our cell block. So there is video coverage in many instances, but that doesn't mean that we cannot improve. And as I said, I'm looking into those options as we speak.
Thank you, Chief. We have another one from Paul Murphy. I want to thank the mayor and the chief for the visual meeting. Thank you, Paul.
Morning, Paul.
And want to express on behalf of myself and the many local veterans who we support, the administration and the police department has an excellent public relations reputation. Both of you pulled this town of New Milford together. So thank you, Paul. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
And you know, it's a testament, Chief. I know you said you were new when we were first talking when I was hoping that you would take the position.
Yes.
Just how wonderful our town is and just so community involved and wrapped into our community. We have so many people that love our town. You could
Yes.
see the commitment, whether it be on the green, whether it be on our parks,
Yes.
whether it be in our schools, just people just love our town. And, you know, as we say it fully, which is a sign out here on the green, you know, New Milford proud and New Milford strong. Absolutely. So thank you, Paul, for that.
Thank you.
Linda, hi, Linda. Desario asked, what's the update on Lynn Deming Park? So, Linda, I talked about this briefly. Lindeming, currently we're looking at opportunities to expand. Currently, right now, it's open for just those that have boats that are docked there, and the kayaks and those that want to launch. That's the current status of Lindeming. With the investments that we made a few years ago, we were able to put gates in. We do have security there. So we're looking at options in tandem with our health director, Mike Crespin, and his team, as I said before, is doing an outstanding job looking at options about opening the beach. So we're working on that now, working through those logistics. Hopefully I'll have some more news for you in this coming week. That's kind of what we have so far, but we are looking at opportunities for Lindeming Park. Let's see what else we have here. I'm going to be just a moment. I'm moving over to the to the YouTube side here, and we have some YouTube questions. Let's see. Megan Bird asked, will the public be involved in public policy review? Chief?
It's an excellent question, and I think that the public should have some say in the process. It is all about the community and how we respond to the needs of the community. So I do like that idea. Thank you for mentioning that. I will consider how we can involve them, whether it's through a meeting, whether it's through a survey, whether it's through other means of input. But I do like the idea, and I'm certainly open to that.
Thank you, Chief. We have a question from Hillary Ram. She asked, I'm incredibly surprised that we have not heard a statement regarding Mr. Floyd and Black Lives Matter. So we did speak about that briefly in the very beginning. And again, we'll kind of reinstitute it as well, is the matter of Mr. Floyd being murdered, as we talked about before. Pure and plain simple murder is wrong. Murder for anyone is wrong. And they should be justly tried by a jury and fully prosecuted in the court of law. We all saw the video and were repulsed by the fact that someone would do that to another human being. Absolutely.
And if I could say a few words on that
Absolutely.
point, I have never seen anything like this in my 33 years in law enforcement. I'm deeply disturbed. It's a tragedy that should not occur and will not occur ever again, and it will not occur here in New Milford. We need to realize that there is no room for racism. Hate has no home here. We in law enforcement have to take this very seriously and listen to our community. We're going to work with the community. We're going to implement and improve our policies and training. As I said, I have disdain for what happened. My officers feel the same way. We're saddened, and we understand the community's concerns and their deep sadness. As I said, as your chief of police, I pledge that this will not happen here. Our department believes in being a part of the community, and that's every aspect of the community. As I said, there is no room. I have zero tolerance for anything even close to racism. People all deserve respect, and everyone deserves to have a voice.
Thank you, Chief. Let me pull over here. And sorry for the little bit of delay here as we're jumping from platform to platform. And then Anne Marie says, I appreciate your response, Chief. I hope you'll include the community in the discussion. I would love to hear Mayor say that he will take the pledge. I believe it should be a community issue, not just take it. As we said, Anne Marie, I've been reviewing President Obama's pledge and working with the chief. We're going through it to do our due diligence as we would do anything when it comes to representing the town, is to do our proper due diligence and work on making sure our policies and procedures are fair and equitable to everyone. So as I had said before, Anne Marie, you can reach back to me towards the end of this coming week, and then we can talk. And feel free, Anne Marie, to call me. You can give me a call either on my cell phone, 203-788-2619, or you can call me at the office, 860-355-6010. And Joanne, hi, Mayor Pete. Hey, Joanne, how are you? Chief and I send our regards to you this morning on this beautiful day. Ellen Power, thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in. And Mandy says, do you need to purchase a body cam for each individual officer? Wouldn't they just use them while on duty? Chief?
Manny, this is an excellent question. And like I said, we're in the process of researching this. And that was one of the things we researched. How many would we need? And I talk about 50 being a perfect scenario. Obviously, if I want to do something, I will always look at how we can do it best. But that being said, if we can't do it to its fullest capability, then maybe doing something is better than doing nothing. You're right. There are other options. The options are something I'm looking at, and I agree with you that there are other ways to potentially put that into place and to fund that.
Thank you, Chief. We have Cineram again. What should parents be prepared for? Schools possibly reopen in September. Excellent question. I've been in contact, as we have with our Board of Education partners, meeting with our Board of Ed Superintendent, Dr. Parker, also our Chairman of the Board of Ed, Angie Chastain, also operations and other subcommittees. We also meet in our meetings at times as well, and talking about schools being prepared. Currently, they are still getting guideline assessments from the state. So they're looking at ways of what they're going to do. I can tell you this, when they do open, whether that be, and that's going to be up to the schools themselves, whether that be in August or October or later on, it's going to be different. So you can count on the schools, at least as far as physically, will be a different place. You'll have more social distancing there. You'll have more areas. The bus may require every seat be vacant. So they have a lot of guidelines that they're going to have to be working with. And in speaking with them, they're continuing to refine those and look at those. And I know that Dr. Parker will be bringing out information to the school system and to the public once they get their all of their kind of operations put in place. But the town, we're here to, as I told Dr. Parker, we're here to help you in whatever way we can. And I know they're fully focused on trying to do that. They did start their distance learning, Chief, as we know.
Yes.
It was put in, and can't thank the teaching staff enough, paraprofessionals and the administrators, all for their hard work as this year is coming to a close, but for putting together that long distance learning program for our kids. Next is Joanne Figs. She says hello to you, Chief.
Good morning.
We have Christine Matte Scott. Good morning, New Milford. Excellent. Good morning. Absolutely, Christine. It's a beautiful day here in New Milford. Gorgeous day. Let's see if I can pull up some more here. Thank you, Chief Cerruto. That's from Mandy.
Thank you. Good morning.
Elaine, again, thank you for the comment. Means a lot. Lois, good morning. Good morning, Lois. We appreciate you guys tuning in for the updates. The same with Jean and Frank. They all say good morning. We appreciate that. Let's see, from Pat Erickson, Chief is a lifetime resident. I truly believe that you've been the best chief that we've ever had. I'm sure during this horrendous time in our lives, you will lead our department and protect our community.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I hear you. And I just want to say that it's the officers who get it done day in and day out. Yes, I set the example and take the lead. The officers execute, and I'm very proud of them for the work they do every day. Very difficult times they've been dealing with so many different problems. This current issue is on their mind every day. They feel and understand the community's concerns. So thank you. We need all the support we can get. And like I said earlier, we want to be a part of the solution and we want to be a part of the community.
I have another question. Will the police be walking alongside participants in tomorrow's event if they so chose? Chief?
Yes, our police officers will be there to support, obviously, the First Amendment right of the people at the rally. We're going to be there mainly with public safety in mind. But again, we're also going to be there to interact with the organizers. One thing I mentioned is we're going to be giving out face masks as a gesture of good faith and public health. But we are also going to be walking, obviously, with the protesters, one out of public safety concerns. We want to make sure that it goes off without issue. But we're also there to support them. And as I said earlier, I'm very concerned about this issue. I feel for the community, and I and my officers want to be there to show that we understand and support them.
We have a statement from Bob Greco. Hey, Bob, how are you? Thanks us both.
Good morning. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Bob. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Ellen asked the protest schedule tomorrow on the green. What time? I believe, Chief, it starts at 3 o'clock, correct?
Yes, it does. It starts at 3 o'clock. We expect it to go an hour or two. And as I said, we want it to go off very peacefully.
And as we said before, for those that have maybe tuned in a little later, we have been in talks. You've been in talks with the organizers, and they have been very wanting to work with the town. They want to make sure that the protesters have masks.
Yes, no doubt about it, Mayor. One thing I've learned that communication is very important. Communicating with the public, communicating with organizers, whatever the issue is, even with our officers on the street and how they deal with people. It's all about interpersonal communications. If you can start off on the right foot with the right tone, the entire process could go a lot smoother. So that's the tact we've been taking. As I said, I've been in contact with the organizers. They've been very attuned to my concerns, and they want this to go off in a peaceful and safe manner. We know that a peaceful rally will have the same and even more of an effect.
Thank you, Chief. Mike Boucher, who's the DPW. Mike, thanks for tuning in.
Mike.
He says, hello, Mayor, hello, Chief. Thank you for both. We appreciate that, Mike. And thank you to you and the team down at the DPW who does an outstanding job. Whether it's especially in the snow, we all need to get to where we need to get. They're there all times, day and night, as the New Milford Police Department is.
But DPW is great with the PD. We appreciate your support, Mike.
Absolutely. So thank you, Mike, and thank the DPW team. And Holly Cohen, it says, has there been any commission from groups talking about a counter demonstration, Chief?
No, there has not. But obviously, we've done an assessment. We've done a risk assessment, and this is something we considered. So while we plan to work with the organizers of this rally, we also anticipate there might be other issues such as that, and we'll understand and communicate with those people also if need be.
Thank you, Chief. Coming from Sir Turan again is what protocols does the police department have or want to implement so that other officers who view injustices within their department have a voice to stop them? Is there something already within there, Chief?
Yes. So one of the very basic tenets of a police officer's career or job, if you will, is their oath of office. And their oath of office is to uphold the law, to do what's right. It comes down to the law and even beyond that, doing what's ethically correct. So they are oath bound to take action whenever they do see a violation of law, and that doesn't limit them to who may be violating that law. So I'm very strict in that if one officer sees a wrongdoing, he is or she is required to act, required to report, and required to follow their oath of office in the law.
Next is Patty says, yes, thanks to DPW. They do a great job on our dirt road, Walker Brook Road North. So, Mike, there you go. You got applause from you and the DPW team, from our residents. And, Chief, it's great to hear the wonderful accomplishments. And we, call them excellence.
Yes.
So we're all striving for our excellence. And just to hear those wonderful remarks about all of our town employees who are doing an amazing job through this
No doubt.
COVID-19 pandemic.
Mayor, it's excellence in service every day, and even I take it one step forward, excellence in service in every instance.
Absolutely. And, especially being an essential worker, as the PD is, as our town employee base here, our DPW teams, I mean, they are in harm's way just about every day for COVID because you don't know who has that.
Yes.
And we can't thank them enough for all of their work during this pandemic. And as far as the police chief, what PPE do they have so they can be rest assured that we do have them protected for COVID-19?
Right. We've done a good job of keeping our supply chain open and moving. We have PPE to include face shields, face masks, goggles and protective eyewear, gowns, rubber gloves, and all different types of masks to include N95 and KN95s and surgical masks. Hand sanitizers and such are very available throughout the department, and the officers have had to use that in several cases. We've had many dozens of cases where officers have responded to active COVID scenarios, whether it's a medical call or somebody in a domestic dispute or otherwise seeking police assistance. Our officers have dealt with many who are actively displaying and were diagnosed, obviously, with COVID. So PPE is vital. We need to keep the PPE supply up because obviously we're concerned for the future.
And Chief, also don't want to leave out, our medical professionals, whether they be our doctors, our nurses, our CNAs, those aides that take care of the elderly in their homes. I mean, they are doing a yeoman's job as well.
Yes, they are.
And you can see all that joint effort work together as you see our COVID numbers, which, again, 3 days in a row now, kind of stagnant. Hospitalizations in Litchfield County are down. So these are all really good trends that, when the state looks at those are opportunities, as we said, to kind of reopen more of our economy. So that's all really good news for us here. Councilman Cosgrove said, thank you, Chief, Mayor.
Good morning.
Thank you, Councilman. Appreciate that. Ellen Power again, God bless everyone in New Milford, including people of all colors and the police who serve them. Absolutely,
Thank you.
Ellen. Thank
Yes,
you.
we agree.
Irene said Danbury distributed hand sanitizers. If you have them available, maybe a good idea tomorrow. So Irene, great idea. We'll see if we have some extra hand sanitizer. And thank you for the suggestion.
Excellent idea.
Let's see. Another one is Bob Capola. Hi, Mr. C. How are you today? Good morning.
Good morning.
He says, thank you, Mayor and Chief. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see. We had Mandy was actually responding to somebody about masks. Let's see. Other ones are talking about Holly had just said, I'm in total support of tomorrow's event and of our PD and keeping everyone safe. I know there'll be others that feel opposite of me, so I was curious if they had reached out as well. Has there been anyone else, Chief, that has kind of reached out to our departments with other intents other than just the protests that for this coming one, which will be tomorrow at 3?
Nobody has reached out so far. I've had all but positive intents and conversations with people involved, and we are calling it a rally. We are even trending away from the word protest. We believe the rally is going to be positive. We have not heard otherwise, although we do have officers and detectives working actively on the intelligence side of things. We will be very cognizant. We will have people in place watching developments tomorrow, of course. We have contingencies in place as we should do as professionals, but I have no reason to believe that this will be other than a very peaceful rally. We're looking forward to providing safety for those at the event, and we have not heard anything negative to this point. On another point, we do have about 23 other rallies within the state tomorrow. So various groups that may have different intents might be dispersed widely across the state.
Thank you, Chief. We have from Eileen. Thanks for your weekly updates, Mayor. Thank you, Eileen. And happy to have a chance to hear from you, Chief.
Great, happy to be
Thank
here.
you. Also, Mandy wants to thank us both. So again, we can't thank you enough. Grant, is there anybody else that you could see on ours? I'm trying to take a look on both as I'm jumping back and forth.
I don't really see anything.
Okay. And just real quick again to everybody that's out watching, we cannot thank you enough for all of the effort that our full communities put in as we're fighting COVID-19. Also, again, our prayers and condolences for the Floyd family. And as we stated in the very beginning, we'll kind of leave it here in the end, that murder is not tolerated for anyone. Murder is murder and should be prosecuted by the fullest extent of the law. We're as a community, we're very solemn and somber about Mr. Floyd's passing, and we do know that justice will prevail against that person that murdered Mr. Floyd. And again, our prayers and condolences are to his family. For our New Milford residents as well, can't thank them enough again for all of their help in fighting this virus, making sure that we continue to do the proper protocols, which is making sure you wash your hands. We don't want to continue and forget these things as now we're into the summer months. You continue to practice the stay safe policies, which is washing your hands for 20 seconds and as hot as soap that you can. Make sure you get under your nails. Make sure you still do your 6-foot distancing. Wear a mask when out at all possible. Also, if you're using gloves when you're going into stores, please dispose of them.
Yes.
Not in the carriage, but in the trash receptacle, either at your house or at the store that you're at. Please don't put them on the ground because someone else has to pick those up. Also, please make sure that when you are doing other things, you maintain that self-distancing. I'd like to take a quick shout out, Chief, again, to the New Milford Garden Club and Mayor Gambino and all the people in the Victory Garden initiative that we've been doing, all the stores that have been helping out. Matter of fact, today, Diane Clafe and team is over at Pettibone, right, Grant? Handing out seedlings for those that start their gardens. And we started this initiative in hopes of as they did in World War II. And real quick, Chief, I definitely was going to say this to the end.
Yes.
We have to remember today is D-Day. And cannot thank those servicemen and women enough for their ultimate sacrifice that they paid on that day. That's why we're all free today. So for those, just a quick, I want to say shout out, but an honorarium to those servicemen and women serving, especially on D-Day.
Yes. And if I could just add, freedom is not free. And I want to make sure to thank all of our veterans for your service.
Amen. So with that being said, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in today. Again, we'll do this again next week. And Chief, I'd really like to thank you for coming in today.
Great.
I know there's some questions that need to be asked, and I appreciate you coming in.
This was excellent. It was an excellent forum for me to communicate with the community. I need to continue to hear from you, and this was very important for me also.
Excellent. Thank you, Chief. So everybody, we'll see you next week. Stay tuned on my Facebook page, also on Twitter, also emails Also, the Chief, they have an excellent Facebook page as well. I grabbed stuff off of there too,
Yes,
Chief, when
great.
we get a chance. And again, as always, everybody, God bless. Thank you. New Milford proud, New Milford strong. Bye.
you.